It's a little much.
Anytime now.
Welcome to the Marketing Podcast, where we talk about marketing-related news and tips for business. I'm Heather Watson.
And I'm Brendan Quigley.
And today is our first episode of the Marketing Podcast. So we want to welcome you.
Welcome.
Thanks for tuning in.
It's really our seventh, let's be honest.
It is, friends. This podcast has been about 6 months in the making. 2 recording sessions deep.
Yep.
6 episodes deep. Because we wanted to make sure that what we're delivering today is the absolute best we can possibly deliver.
Yeah, we threw all of that away.
Just trashed it all.
Yeah.
Trashed it all. So we're excited to be here to welcome you as a listener. Hopefully we'll be engaging enough that you'll want to keep coming back. Speaking of back, the kids have been back to school so far for a month, right?
An entire month.
It's already gone by.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Where does the time go? Pretty soon they'll be back home for Christmas holidays.
That's right. We should have a Christmas counter. How many days till Christmas?
Ooh.
Did you know anyone who did that? I had friends who used to do that.
Not this early.
And I'd be like, settle down. There's no snow. Like,
yeah.
You don't need to talk about Christmas.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the routine, right? If you've got kids who are at school, it's like you're back to school, and then just when you think you got your a handle on it, it's Christmas time.
It's Christmas time.
Yeah.
I did notice I was doing some prep work for another project, mapping out some things on a marketing calendar. And in our school board, it appears that the last Friday of every month, the kids have a PA day, a day off, which I thought was kind of savvy of the teachers. It's like, well, we've got to get 12 in a year. Let's do, the 4th Friday of every month. Sold, right? It's interesting how it kind of worked out.
Awesome.
Yeah. So today on the episode, we are talking about, what are we talking about today? We are talking about the impact of Google reviews, and we are going to be talking about the importance of pricing as it impacts a business. But first, we want to talk a little bit about what Wendy's restaurant is up to when it comes to their social media. Now, Brendan, I'll let you do the segue into this one and tell our fine listeners what we're going to be talking about.
So I guess if anyone hasn't been paying attention recently, Wendy's has really upped their social media game. And there's been a number of really amazing, I want to call them comebacks, but they've been responding to other brands and people in very sassy ways. I don't know how else to say it.
They're picking fights with their competition on social media in clever ways.
Yes, yeah. And then there was the recent Nugs for Carter, and that tweet went viral. So on April 5th, 2017, Carter Wilkinson tweeted at Wendy's asking how many retweets for a year of nuggets. And when Wendy's quickly replied 18 million, he soon actually broke Ellen DeGeneres' Oscar selfie record, which had 3.2 million tweets. So he got more retweets than she did.
Did he get the 18 million? He
didn't get the 18 million, no. But I believe
it could still happen.
It could still happen, but I believe they did give him the nuggets. They
That's
showed
awesome.
Forth. And so basically, this is an article from Forbes, and it's called Nugs and Sass Inside Wendy's Social Media Secret Sauce. And it basically talks about how Wendy's is doing what they're doing. And so they spoke with Brandon, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Rotten, head of media, advertising, and digital for Wendy's. And he listed a couple things. So one was hire good people. The other one was let them do their jobs. Clear voice direction. Know how you're going to engage. Take risks. Be unique. So these were the main things he spoke about. Now, the one that I really loved and I want to bring up is that he mentions how most brands have several people handling the day-to-day posts. So without a clear direction, your brand will never develop a distinct voice. So this is the clear voice direction one. So he said that their voice is actually Chris Pratt from Guardians of the Galaxy. So they don't have superpowers and they're not superhuman. They're just regular guy who happens to be funny and a little sarcastic. And so I'm just pulling that out of the article because that one tip, I think, for a lot of businesses would be really beneficial, especially if you've got more than one person tweeting. If you don't want your tweets or your Facebook posts or your Instagram comments to be bland, coming up with a shared character that you're going to try to portray will give you that ability to have one voice when you're talking.
Right. And this is pretty common for many businesses when they're trying to establish, who their customers are. So let's just turn it around for a second, not who they are, but who their customers are. They'll do personas. And, if they're trying to target men, women, of what age group, of what ethnicity, what educational level, income, job, all that kind of stuff. And we've worked with some clients where, we've gone so deep as to put names on them, right? So it's like when we're positioning a product for that target audience, you turn around and there's a picture of Sally, and you look at Sally and say, would Sally like this? Would Sally understand this message? Would Sally? So, Sally customer, and there could be a family of them, and not necessarily, related in the story, but, 2 or 3 different customers that your brand is trying to speak to. And then, so that makes sense, and it's certainly common practice for brands to say that about their own brand, but not necessarily. I mean, a lot of businesses think, well, we want to be edgy, we want to be fun, we want to make sure that, when customers engage with us, that all of the frontline staff have a certain tone and approach in handling customers, but they don't necessarily kind of paint that Sally portrait for how they're interacting with people, whether that's face-to-face or online in social media. So it's neat because it's very simplistically, they can provide a capture of who we're trying to be because they're relating it to somebody who already exists. And by the same token, it's a great persona that they're trying to be, because of the snarkiness and what they're trying to do. And I love, Wendy's has been doing some really fun stuff. At one point in time, Taco Bell was really, really great with their social media. Whoever was handling that, they were always replying to people in the same kind of snarky way, almost picking fights, but in jest. And I wouldn't say nobody took offense, I don't know, but it seemed to be more humorous than it was offensive, 99% of the time. So it's cool that they're doing it this way.
Definitely. And I think that touches upon, too, so another one of the points here was let them do their jobs. And so Wendy's basically says, when one of my team saw Carter's tweet asking for a lifetime supply of nuggets, they messaged me to ask if we could engage with him and possibly give away a free nuggets for life.
Right.
Like, can we do this? Maybe. And so he said yes, and they ran with it. And so hire good people, give them direction and a framework, and that's creating the personas for your brand and knowing who you're marketing to and having that framework to market. And then let them do their job.
Empower them to do their job. Don't tie their hands, right?
Definitely.
Like you're hiring that team to do it for a reason, and it's because you don't necessarily have the expertise to do it yourself. So, you're going to absolutely set aside some sort of budget for them to work within, but as long as they're within that budget and the cash registers are still ringing, then let them spend that budget as it's needed and, throw free nuggets to the guy.
To me. I want free nuggets.
Free just for a year or a lifetime?
Yeah.
Of all places, I'd take Wendy's.
There you go.
There you go. So, yeah, this podcast is not sponsored by Wendy's, for the record. Great. So the next one here, interesting, is somewhat related, right? We're talking about reviews, Google reviews that are out there. So this story is a Canadian story where an Edmonton man was threatened with a defamation lawsuit after a negative Google review. So basically, the customer gave a negative review, and but it was a wrong review, right? Like it didn't capture the circumstance at all. I'm trying to find it here. Does it actually show the review?
No.
No, it doesn't. Oh, interesting.
It shows like a screenshot of the review, but it's kind of hard to see.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So he left a negative Google review about a local company in Edmonton, and he was threatened with a 6-figure lawsuit if he didn't take it down. So he gave a 1-star review, and it was a wrong review, and he was faced with a $150,000 charge, period. So So I guess the question around this is, first of all, how important are reviews? Forget the fact that you might get sued or not, right? Or that you as a business might have the ability to sue somebody, because now there's some precedent there.
Yeah.
But how do you respond to negative reviews in the public? And so I'm going to ask you, Brendan, like, how much value do you have as a consumer in reviews?
Yeah, I think, when it comes to reviews, I think they're super important. Especially on websites where you might be buying online. So I think of, anytime you've ever bought something off Amazon, you check out the product, you check out the price, maybe you check out how long the shipping is, but then you go to the review to see what other people say. And it is kind of, it's surprising how much faith we will put into absolute strangers' reviews of the products.
Right.
Now the benefit to something like Amazon is that there are names attached to it, right? Like, and that's where most reviews are going. If you think of Google reviews, you think of Facebook reviews, it's got people's names there. But I have heard of and know of businesses that, live and die by the reviews that get placed about their business.
Sure. I mean, certain industries particularly would have more value in reviews than other industries, like anything to do with the hospitality industry. So we're talking about tourism and restaurants place high value in their reviews. And there's all kinds of tools that those businesses can use to manage their reviews, to kind of keep an eye on all of the different platforms, because there are so many, again, geared around hospitality particularly, to look for those negative reviews or to reply to and respond to concerns. I know when I'm booking a room out of town,
Hotels.
You look at those hotel room reviews and you start questioning, oh, should I even go? Right?
Yeah.
Now, in this particular case, if it's one-star review in a sea of 20 5-star reviews, I would probably just think it was a disgruntled customer or somebody who has nefarious intentions, right?
With that said, I feel like those customers are really obvious. Like, it's really obvious when the review is just a rant.
Right.
And to touch on the when should you respond and how you should respond, I think there's, don't feed the trolls is a real motto here. If someone's just ranting, if someone's just trying to ruin your business with a 1-star review, they've almost done you a service. Like, people aren't dumb. I'm going to look at that, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to think exactly what you said. That guy just wanted to be upset. And it's almost, as long as you don't, feed the troll, shows good on you. Versus someone who leaves a 1-star review with a very level-headed response, makes some good points. That's an opportunity, I think, for the business to jump in there and to address that. Like, if your product is bad or your service is bad, you need to do something to fix it. And getting criticism through reviews isn't a bad way to know what you need to fix.
Right. So what would be an appropriate way to respond to something like that level-headed review that says, I purchased this product, or I stayed at this hotel, or I ate at this restaurant, and I didn't like XYZ?
I think, keep in mind, most platforms, Google, Facebook, even on some of the platforms like Airbnb and Amazon, they let you change your review. And so I think understanding that, and actually another platform that you see this often is with like apps on the App Store or Android App Store. So they do let you go back in and you can edit your review or change the stars or add some text, take it away. So with that in mind, I think when you do see a proper review that's giving criticism, and maybe they did have a very bad experience with your business, this is an opportunity for you to reach out, engage with them. It doesn't have to be in the public forum. You can ask them to contact you separate, or if you know the business or the person who did it, because their name's there, you can reach out to them. And maybe it's an opportunity to make it right. Like, if the product they got didn't work because of something that was wrong with it, replace it. If the service they had was terrible, perhaps give them a discounted coupon for another service and promise that it'll be the best. You really do have to follow through on that. When they come back to your place of business, you really have to make sure that they have a good experience. But I think there are really appropriate ways to reach out. And
then do you ask them, after you've reached out to them and maybe you've made it right, gosh, that product was broken. We're really sorry you got some defective product. Let us ship you a brand new one and credit your account. And you do exactly what's needed to make it right. And you did that all behind scenes.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it for the glory. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
So now there's still a crappy review sitting there. And hopefully, are you satisfied, Mr. Quigley? Oh, yeah, this is great. Thank you so much for fixing it. Would you mind changing your review, please?
Yeah.
Is that appropriate?
I'm going to say context is everything here.
Sure.
And that's maybe a cop-out answer. The other thing I would say is perhaps respond to the review, because, again, a lot of these platforms give you an opportunity.
As a business to reply.
As a business, to leave a comment below the review. Respond with the solution.
Sure.
Like, we're happy to have been able to send you a new product. We're happy to have been able to discount your next appointment with us, to try to make it a little public. And that might even sort of encourage them to change the review.
I would hope so.
I'd say that in some
or at least reply to your reply.
This is it. Yeah.
Saying, gosh, yes, thank you so much. I take it all back.
And then I do think in some situations, depending on what it was, you could reach out. You could ask them. Again, it's all about being honest.
Yeah.
It's all about being honest.
Yeah.
The problem here, right, is because we're being held hostage by our reviews.
Right.
And I think if you get back to it too, if your business relies on good reviews, if you rely on that 5-star rating, diversify a little bit. You know what I mean? Try not to have that be the only place that your business comes through.
Or get better delivering.
Well, but I'm thinking of places that are 4 stars instead of 5 stars.
Yeah. That one extra star, find out why.
But you'll never get it, the average, right? You'll never quite get the 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's why multiple platforms is always a good idea. Don't build your business on someone else's platform. And I'm thinking places like Airbnb and Amazon and these spots. So that you're not stuck, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So in terms of reviews, they are important. You should be watching them, I think, is one really important thing. A lot of people who we encounter through our work don't even really pay attention to what's going on there. They're in the day-to-day business. They don't realize that a customer who was there yesterday said something negative online to even know to reply to it or not to reply to it. And when something negative does happen, do what you can to make it right. And tracking those people down can sometimes be difficult if you have the ability because of the nature of your business. I think, again, about hotel reservations where your name is on the file. So hopefully your name is on the hotel reservation and they'll know, or they can isolate it based on dates and, reply based on circumstances. The hotel can't be responsible for the weather during your stay. And I think that if there are things where the person is clearly, like you said, if they're clearly ranting, just let them clearly rant. Yeah. And don't keep going tit for tat with them on it.
Perfect. All right, Heather, maybe you can help me understand the next one. So I saw an article, it came up in my feed, about Selena Gomez. So super famous person, right?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay,
yeah,
great.
Yeah. Some people know who Selena Gomez is. Yeah.
So she tagged Ella Fanning in an Instagram post. So they're working together in an upcoming project. So she tagged this younger famous person in an Instagram post, and how the notifications and the follows and everything that ensued from that one post led to an apology even. So basically...
so I'm sorry I blew up your Instagram?
I'm sorry I blew up your Instagram, basically.
Excellent.
So this is from Refinery29. So this is what happens when Selena Gomez tags you on Instagram. And so basically... Fanning told Vanity Fair that one morning she woke up with a surge of notifications on Instagram. She was confused as to why anyone would be. I woke up the next morning thinking, what happened on my Instagram, Fanning said. It was just exploding with things. People were saying things on this photo, and the photo kept popping up, etc., etc. So here's what I need to understand. Selena Gomez has 126 million followers on Instagram. She's just been named, Time just named her the tastemaker for becoming the first person to get 100 million Instagram followers. So we always hear about influencers. Is this what we want? You want Selena Gomez to be your influencer and tag your product?
Well, I mean, I don't know if Selena Gomez does this for tagging products. tagging another celebrity. Technically, that's a brand, which is a product in and of its own, not to turn a person into a thing, but that's kind of what she did, the brand identity. But certainly the Kardashians do it a lot through Instagram. There's and people pay ridiculous gobs of money for Kim to stand there with the whey protein or the, false eyelashes or you name it. And there's been all kinds of errors on that too. I don't know if you've seen in the media where it was her handler, I don't know if it was Kim Kardashian or Khloe or one of them, had basically said, hey, post this on your Instagram, and then below a couple of paragraphs that had the post with the picture attached. And then she just basically copied and pasted the whole message that said, hey, post this on your Instagram. And then the copy, right? So, but they're getting paid gobs of money for that. And does it make sense? It does. Sales tend to boom. They've got this huge audience of people, providing that it's on brand.
Well, clearly one famous person tags another famous person, and second famous person goes, oh my goodness, my notifications have gone through the roof. So,
right. Because people are engaging, right? And now, interestingly, there's been some new legislation that's really important to talk about. New laws that say that when ads, not that this was an ad in Selena Gomez's case, it wasn't an ad. She was just tagging her colleague who is an up and comer, and blew up her Instagram as a result of it. But when it's product placement from an influencer, they now have to do hashtag ad. Or there's another one, hashtag spawn, I think it is, for sponsored, in that ad, in the copy. And originally what they would do when that law first came to be was put it in a sea of hashtags.
Yeah, right.
Right? So there'd be 20 hashtags, and ad would be slammed in there somewhere. Now it actually has to be one of the first things they see in that post.
Oh.
Yeah. And advertising standards are enforcing this. And it's usually complaint driven, but particularly when influencers are taking gobs of money, they tend to want to make sure that they're shutting it down if they're doing it illegally. And now that more and more big people are doing it, like the Kardashians, for example, audiences, just like you're saying, people are getting more discerning about reviews. People are getting more discerning about seeing hashtag ad in that kind of roundup of hashtags. They're looking for it to make sure that it's legitimate. So I think that's important. What I think is interesting is just how celebrities are using Instagram and any social media. And we're talking Instagram in this particular case, but Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, just in general, because it serves as a tool where they're engaging with their audience, which everybody wants to do. As a business, you want to engage with your customers. But now they're turning that into a business in and of itself, right? Because you're getting those sponsored placements. Whereas before, the celebrities would use it as not social media, but it was just more so to, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is me engaging with my fans. So I don't know. Selena will do what Selena does. And
tag us, please.
Tag us, please, the Marketing Podcast on Twitter. Where are we? Where are we in the roundup? We are, pricing. We're going to talk about pricing. So I think Brendan, you're going to need to confess to our audience here about a little bit of a crush that you have, first of all, on the subject matter of this next piece. Elon.
Mm-hmm. Elon Musk.
I don't know if now's the time to profess your love for him or...
We'll see. Maybe after this article.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Do you want to read it, or am I going to?
Sure. No, I can explain this one. Yeah. So basically, this is from Zero Hedge, and the title of the article is Elon Musk magically extends battery life of Teslas fleeing Irma. And I saw this. This came up when Irma was coming in. This was one of the top news stories, which I thought was funny. I saw it on multiple different...
This is Hurricane Irma we're talking about.
Hurricane Irma, yeah.
That devastated Florida and Cuba.
So I'll summarize really quick. Basically, the Model S and X60 vehicles, so the Model S60, comes with a 60 kilowatt battery, and that lets you go a certain distance. But they've got an upgrade for about $85 to $8,500 to $9,000. They've got an upgrade to a 75 kilowatt battery. And so what they've done in this situation is for anybody who's in the path of Hurricane Irma, they've automatically sent out an update that will increase their battery to the 75 kilowatt. But wait, you're wondering, how? How did they change the battery?
Just magical.
Magical.
Don't you have to install that?
And so this is the idea behind the pricing, you know? So they don't, like every vehicle has the 75 kilowatt battery in it. If you bought the Model S60, you got the 60 kilowatt battery. If you paid an extra $9,000 when you bought it, you got the 75, but the batteries are the same. There's no difference in the batteries. It's just a software patch that limits the capacity.
So I think it's kind of like the opposite of like my cell phone. I go on this kind of battery optimization mode that kind of shuts down all the unnecessary things so that I can conserve battery.
Sure,
the capacity's there. It gives me a little bit more kind of thing. But it's like the opposite of that effectively, where it's the same battery. You're getting more
two
or
different
less
capacities out of it.
But in the car, I don't have the ability to control that.
No. And so the question really comes down to the Model S60 and the Model S60 with the $9,000 upgrade cost the same to make. But you pay $9,000 for a software change that increases your distance that you can drive. Is this an okay thing? Are we allowed to do this?
I mean, sure. Why not? Right? Because if I'm trying to think of other automotive examples where this would apply, or any other example where, you know, you buy a base model and you get upgrades, right? Think about a standard and an automatic transmission. Standard transmissions are cheaper because they're cheaper to make. Automatic transmissions are more expensive because they're more expensive to put in, so they're going to charge you more for that upgrade package.
But that's a physical thing.
Sure.
I haven't hit a button and installed an over-the-air update.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, what did it cost to develop that technology so that they could do it?
Yeah, I guess, but I mean...
The technology is there. They're limiting it.
Yeah.
And they're charging you to unlock it.
Unlock it. Yeah, like I'm sure there's like in-car... Like you can be like, oh, we're not going to make it to our destination. Well, drop $9,000 and you can go another.
It's like an in-app purchase.
Yeah, exactly. Another 2,500 kilometers or something like that. You know what I mean? I think.
And I mean, what are people paying? Like, let's just draw this back. What are people paying for the car to begin with?
I think like $80,000,
$90,000, right? Yeah. So if they're already paying that, then they can afford to pay like it's just plus, right? It's base model with all the extras.
The car doesn't. Well, I guess the car doesn't change in price. The one they sell cheaply over here for $9,000 less, it's the same as the one they sold over here. It doesn't cost them any different. I think I heard of Intel doing this at one point with processors, where they made the processors but they limited them, and if you bought a cheaper one, you could like unlock it to unlock the full capacity. And so the question is, when Teslas become like when more people have them, are there going to be like these underground markets where you can like install this USB,
get your like cell phone unlocked kind of thing, like that kind
Tesla
of thing.
Unlocked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can go.
It's kind of like a light and pro version. Like if you think of it from a software perspective, and truly what that is, or any app that you buy. I know as a prolific Apple user, right? I can buy the light version of the app, or I can buy the pro version of the app. And sometimes that just means...
You're scaring me. Drive your Tesla, remove ads.
Yeah, remove ads.
$9,000.
Yeah. I mean, what I think is really cool, and I was looking at this article and I couldn't quite tell, and we'll post it online as well, is I don't know if Elon actually announced it to the Floridians who were impacted by the change, because it seems like it came to the media through a user who just serendipitously noticed that he was getting, X number of kilometers more.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's cool that they unlocked it in the face of a crisis, so that people millions of customers were without hydro, and that they were able to make it so that they could drive farther and to get out of the path and all that kind of stuff, right? That's just good customer service. It's good community-ness. You've got those users there. What? You're shaking your head.
Well, is it good guy Elon, or is it a PR department that does not want to deal with the potential well, we could have unlocked it, but we didn't because it's in our policy. And now this person, I don't want to say too much, but like, as in if someone got injured or hurt or died because they couldn't get away because their car.
And the technology exists, so it's like to avoid litigation in the future and liability.
Just PR.
Sure.
Just PR.
Or potentially liability, right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it could have been spun as a good PR move, where that announcement was, calling all Tesla users, you can now drive that much farther in light of the storm. Maybe they didn't want to tell everybody because they don't want to be expected to do that now. Every time there's it's brush fires on the West Coast, or how are they going to be able to discern that, right? I mean, if their Tesla is a Tesla, maybe it will just tell them.
That kind of happened with Facebook, because Facebook launched that know where your family and friends are in a disaster app. And when and where they decided to turn it on became super controversial. I don't even know the state of that. Yeah,
and I know people are still they launched this so you can tell people that I'm okay.
I'm okay. It's just like a beacon that says I'm here and I'm okay. And they only turn it on when there's an emergency in that
region.
So I believe I forget exactly. I forget when it was turned on, but it's when they decide to turn it on and where and when.
Under what circumstances. Yeah. But more so, it's kind of people are wondering well, some of my friends said that they're okay, and I haven't heard from the other ones. There's a whole slew of reasons
and
why.
And their phone's dead.
Yeah, their phone is dead, or, they just didn't realize that was an option on Facebook.
No, exactly.
And so then it adds all kinds of questions. It's well, these 20 people said they're okay, and these 20 people haven't said anything, and oh my goodness, are they okay? And they're I didn't even know I could do that. So that's the whole, the control that people have now as it relates to these real-time situations, disasters. It's interesting in how they're going to be able to communicate that, Tesla. Mm-hmm. If I was driving a Tesla and all of a sudden I maybe I didn't take my Tesla because I knew I wouldn't get enough mileage out of it.
Yeah, right.
Right, but not knowing that Elon flipped the magic switch to get me that much more mileage out of it.
Yeah, right.
Right. So, I'd like to think that if I was a user and I bought that car, that there would be some sort of little pop-up in the app in my phone to say, great news, Heather, your Tesla is going to get you an extra bonus points this month or something, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's pricing. I mean, I think we're not sure about the value of the software at this point in time, right?
No
if
idea.
It's worth that money, but definitely a pro light version is kind of how I see that. And I think they're entitled to do that. Whether it's worth $9,000 is another story. Yeah. So that's it. That's episode 1.
Woo.
We made it. Episode 1. Hopefully it will actually be episode 1 that makes it to air. So if you're listening to this, thank you. We finally got it right. If you're not hearing this right now, then you'll never know if we'll ever get it right. But I think we're there.
I think so, too.
I think we're there. So this has been the Marketing Podcast. I hope you do subscribe to catch our weekly episodes. Leave a review even.
We won't sue you.
We won't.
No.
Are you sure? I mean, we could. We're not going to?
No.
Okay, we won't. So thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time on the Marketing Podcast.